Okay, great. Thanks for having me. I'm Dave Ehrlich. I am the California sales rep for Chronicle Books. One of our newer imprints is Chronicle Prism, and that is the publisher of Sahara Rose's upcoming book. So I'm very honored to be here today and introducing her. And thank you to Kaliba for having Sahara Rose today and everyone attending this program. Sahara Rose Kitabi is an ancient soul in a modern body. She has been called a leading voice for the millennial generation into the new paradigm shift by Deepak Chopra. She is the best-selling author of Eat, Feel Fresh, a contemporary plant-based Ayurvedic cookbook, and Idiot's Guides Ayurveda, each with a foreword by Deepak Chopra. And the upcoming Chronicle Prism release, Discover Your Dharma, a Vedic guide to finding your purpose, which comes out on January 5th, 2021. She also hosts the Highest Self podcast, which is the #1 spirituality podcast on iTunes with over 20 million downloads. Sahara is the founder of Rose Gold Goddesses, the Sacred Sisterhood Collective, all about embodying the goddess within, with over 2,000 worldwide members. She is a keynote speaker, appearing on stages at Google and Facebook, as well as being featured as a nutrition speaker for Michelle Obama's Let's Move campaign at Harvard Medical School, and also in Vogue, Forbes, on NBC, and more. She was recently on the cover of the nationwide print magazine Yoga Journal, and Sahara Rose is on a mission to remind people of their highest selves so they can share their gifts with the world and raise the vibration of the planet. Please join me in warmly welcoming Sahara Rose. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for the kind introduction, Dave. I'm so honored to be here today. So this is my upcoming book, Discover Your Dharma, which I am so grateful to have the advanced reader's copy of, and really what got me to even begin this journey of understanding my dharma. By the way, when I say the word dharma, I mean purpose. I'm going to use them interchangeably. Dharma is the Sanskrit word for purpose. So in a way, it's much broader than career, and I'll share more about that in this. But what brought me on my own journey of finding my dharma and to eventually write this book is my own health issues. So I had many, many different health issues that eventually led me to trying to get to the bottom of what was going on with my own body. And after going to so many different doctors, etc., I finally discovered Ayurveda. Ayurveda is the world's oldest health system and the sister science of yoga. So I began to learn so much about Ayurveda, which, excited me. And I began to heal my own body and wanting to share that with other people. So I began that journey of just deciding I'll just write a book on it because, sometimes ignorance is bliss and you don't know. I'll just go write a book. I'll be at Barnes and Nobles, and I just went for it. And of course, that journey did not go as simply as planned, but it did give me the strength and the courage that I needed to be able to choose a life of my own. I come from a parents of immigrants, a parents of sacrifice, a life of do what's right for the tribe, not for yourself, and sacrifice your happiness for the whole. So I was the first woman in my entire family to even work, let alone try to write a book on Ayurveda, which felt like the most random topic. So in that process of trying to, create a living for myself, sharing this wisdom, bring my book out into the world, I had to basically excavate all of the limiting beliefs and the fears and the stories that I subconsciously had in my mind this entire time of trying to get the approval of other people, trying to, fill out and check out all the boxes and think if I just do good enough, then I'll figure it all out. And realizing finally that I only had one life to live. And if I don't really give this my all, then I'm going to forever live in regret. So it began with Ayurveda, and it really became so much more. In that process of sharing Ayurveda with the world, I realized that so many people had their own passions, their own interests, their own gifts that they wanted to share with the world, but they were facing those exact same obstacles that I was, and feeling like they weren't good enough, old enough, smart enough, young enough, fit enough, whatever it is, enough to actually go out and do it. So I began to rewire my mind, reshape my beliefs, kind of Marie Kondo everything that was in there, and purge out what was no longer serving me. And that was really what brought me to this concept of Dharma, that I was born with a purpose, that I was not put onto this planet randomly, and none of you are as well. That each and every one of us, and now I'll speak about this from Vedic perspective. When I say Vedic, I'm talking about the ancient Indian philosophy. But Vedic wisdom, which this book is based on, would say that we are all souls. Besides being human bodies, we are all souls residing in these human bodies. And each of our souls have unique gifts that they were meant to share. And that we actually chose to incarnate in our bodies at this time with our gifts, interests, as well as obstacles and struggles, because they were the exact formula that we need to go out there and share our purpose with the planet. So right now, and I obviously did not know about 2020 happening, and this really is the time that so many people are finally asking themselves this question: what is my purpose? Why am I here? So many of us have been so busy in the day in and day out that we haven't really had the time. And I really start the book with this question of, why are we here? And it's a question so big that sometimes asking yourself can feel so colossal that you get overwhelmed by the enormity of the question, that you begin to just say, oh, well, I have this meeting next, I have this thing next. And you just fill up your day with the next and the next and the next without asking yourself, why am I here in the first place? I say it's akin to like getting dropped off at a party and wondering, oh, I wonder if they have salsa or guacamole, instead of, why was I dropped off at this party? So finally, because of all of the obstacles that 2020 has brought us, it has also brought us this gift, and this gift of contemplation, this gift of more time within ourselves to decide before we emerge out into the world, do I want to go back to those same habits, those same choices, that same path that I was on? Or am I going to take this opportunity? In Vedic spirituality, we would say that this is your soul's curriculum, that your soul in some sort of way chose the obstacles that you are facing because they are what you need for your highest evolvement. So in some way, we all decided to be here during 2020. We don't know why, but we do know that we're learning and we're growing, and it's shifting us. And we can take that and either say, oh my God, I don't know why I was brought here. Or we can look at it and say, how is this giving me more clarity, more awareness, more ability to redefine who I want to be in this world moving forward? So this is really what discovering your Dharma is all about. It's tapping into the truth of who you are. And the more that you tap into this truth of who you are, the more naturally your Dharma, your purpose unfolds itself. It's not about, taking a career aptitude test and like, am I going to be a doctor or a lawyer? That's not what your Dharma is. Your Dharma actually isn't your career. There is a big difference there. So I like to think of your Dharma like your company's mission statement, right? So let's say my Dharma is to raise consciousness and bring ancient wisdom back to the modern world, which is my Dharma. So that's my company's mission statement. Now, how can I do that? What are the services, right? I can write, I can speak, I can teach, I can facilitate trainings. Here are all the different services I can do. I'm not limited to just one. They're all falling under the category of my Dharma. So let's say someone else's Dharma is to bring beauty to this world. Perhaps they spent some time as a hairstylist, and then maybe they transitioned to a graphic designer, and maybe now interior design is calling their name, but they also really love learning about feng shui and all like fonts and the symmetry of fonts and like all of these random artistic interests. And they might even be kicking themselves and saying, oh my goddess, I have no purpose. I keep changing my mind. Like, I'm so bad at this, even though their Dharma was the same underneath it all, through the hair, through the interior design, through the graphic design. It was to bring beauty to this world. So your Dharma is not limited to one role that you play. Your Dharma is the red thread that connects you through all of them. And sometimes when finding our Dharma, it can be very, very difficult because we're not even sure what our interests are. So one really beautiful tip that I recommend in the book, and there's many, many tips I recommend in the book, but one that really can bring an aha moment to many people, especially right now in today's world, is what are you the most shameful about? Because sometimes the thing that we are the most shameful about, that we don't want we feel like people won't take us seriously, or it's random, or it's unrelated. That's actually the thing that we get to own in ourselves and bring to our Dharma. So for example, for myself, I love to dance. I love to be silly and playful. I love to DJ. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to be an Ayurvedic author. I can't let that side of my personality in at all. Go stay over there in the closet. Like, I gotta be serious. Gotta wear my white and my mala beads, because that's what I saw in the world around me. So I would suppress. And then finally, when I start to open that closet door up and bring those aspects slowly into my life, the more my people, not all people, but my people began to find me, because they could connect to being ancient and modern, being very into spirituality and also loving to dance and be embodied, that it actually helped me find my Dharma, because my Dharma was not limited to this one role. My Dharma was the creation of it all. So your Dharma is not just what you do, it's how you do it. So for example, I was just on the Mind Valley podcast 2 days ago when I was speaking to Vishen, the founder of Mind Valley, who some of you might know. And I was sharing this realization. He's like, wow, this created an aha moment for me right now. Because the thing that I was the most shameful about was I loved to act. And I was studying computer engineering in college in Kuala Lumpur, but I really loved to act. And I would take these acting classes after class, but I didn't want people to know, because I'm supposed to be a, serious Indian engineering student. And here I am, like, wanting to do improv. And those acting classes, though they were things I was the most shameful of, that my parents were the most unhappy about me doing, play the biggest role in what I do now in Mind Valley, because they provided me the ability to be able to speak, to be able to facilitate, to be able to interview, to be able to feel comfortable on camera. So that very thing that he was the most shameful of became, a prime role in his Dharma of bringing his understanding of engineering with his personality. So maybe you love anime, or maybe you love, like gardening things at home, or whatever it is. Bring those aspects into your Dharma. It's not what you do, but it's how you do it. So two people can give the exact same yoga class, right? I'm sure many of us have gone to yoga classes, but we have our favorite teacher, and they might be teaching the exact same sequence, right? But it's how they're doing it that's making us resonate with it. So right now, in this time, we really have the ability to infuse our personality in everything that we do. Because of the internet, there's a lot of cons about the internet, but there's also a lot of pros. And one of the biggest pros, and again, I would say our souls chose to incarnate at this time of the internet because of this, is that we can lead with our personality, with our quirkiness, letting our freak flags fly, as I say in the book. We can do this, and there's space for that. We're moving out of the paradigm that's all about perfection and climbing the ladder and being better than everyone else. And we're really wanting more humanity in everything that we do. And that begins with understanding that humanity within ourselves. So your Dharma is that integration of who you are, what your Dharma archetypes are. I have a quiz in the book of understanding your Dharma archetype, which are these 9 archetypes that I put together. For example, you might be a teacher, an activist, a nurturer, a warrior, a researcher, an entertainer, a visionary, and what's the last? There's a couple more. Oh, nurturer, activist, visionary, entertainer, researcher. So these archetypes play out in our daily lives. So for example, if someone is a natural teacher, maybe you're interested in gardening, or maybe you're interested in geometry or whatever else, you'll bring that teaching archetype into your role. Maybe if you're a researcher, whatever you do, you'll come at it with a researching perspective. If you're a nurturer, you'll come at it with a nurturing perspective. So I outlined these 9 archetypes, and there's a quiz that people can go to really help find their own. For me, understanding archetypes was the biggest aha moment into understanding my Dharma, because it really gives you a framework to play off of. And then with that Dharma archetype, I outlined something called your Dharma blueprint. Now, here's where I feel like a lot of spiritual books stop. They're like, you have a purpose. And then you're like, great, I'm here to raise consciousness. Now what? So the Dharma blueprint is all about, okay, how do you take that archetype, the medium that expresses most naturally through you, the thing that you want to be in service for, the thing that brings you joy. It's a whole system that you get to put together with the book. And then how do you actually take action on that? and bring it out to the world. I notice that a lot of times with spiritual books, it just stops with the awareness, but then there's no action. And for us, we live on a physical plane. We need to take action to things to allow others to experience it as well. So how do you actually take action towards your Dharma? And as I share in the book, you actually only understand your Dharma through the taking of action. It's not something you figure out in your mind, and the more you think about it, the more it comes out. You actually learn through, essentially like going through a maze and going over here and realizing, okay, I don't really like to work with people in this way, or I don't really like playing a role in that way. And then you come back and you keep going, but you only learn that when you're taking those steps. So your Dharma blueprint would basically outline how your archetype, your interest, the medium that flows through you, what you're extremely passionate about, what kind of service you want to put out into the world, how you can actually put them together towards a tangible step. And another major issue that so many people are confronting right now that I needed to address in the book, because I just don't see people talking about this, is the confusion. It's the overwhelm, the information overwhelm that we are in relation to finding our purpose. So again, with social media, we're able to see so many different ideas of what people's purposes can be. Someone's a travel blogger, someone's like a stay-at-home mom with like 7 kids, and someone's has a Fortune 500 company and they're like 12 years old, and you're like, wow, all these possibilities out there. And what am I supposed to do? That looks fun. That looks cool. That looks interesting. That looks like it makes more money. So then you get stuck. And I know for me, confusion was such a big thing. And I'm seeing especially a lot of people in the conscious space, people who are really introspective, looking within themselves, they can often second guess themselves and get stuck and not know what to do because they're so confused and in fear that they might take the wrong step. What if I sign up for the wrong thing? What if I apply for the wrong job? And that fear of doing it wrong keeps them from doing anything. So moving through the confusion, moving through the comparison, moving through the feelings of not feeling enough, all of these more what we would call shadow, denser, darker fears that come with finding your purpose, because it's not all love and light. It's not all unicorns and rainbows. Sometimes it takes really looking into what is really holding me back. And finding your purpose, finding your Dharma is going to look so different for every single person. I outlined that there are 3 different paths of finding your Dharma. Some people take a leap. Some people are that all or nothing. I'm going to quit my job, try to do this, and better hope it works. And for other people, that would cause them so much stress and so much anxiety that would actually prevent them from being able to be successful in what it is they want to do. They need to do more of like a slow jump in. That maybe they're working on that thing that they're more interested in doing, but they also are continuing with whatever job they're at because they need to feel secure, especially if you have children, etc. Or there are some people that have an accidental Dharma. It just finds them. For example, I shared a story of a friend of mine's uncle. He was also, I think, a computer engineer as well, interestingly enough. But he was in his 50s, 60s at this time, and the company made everyone take an elective. So he decided to just take pottery, didn't think twice about it, took pottery, got his hands on the wheels, and something hit him of, this is what you need to be doing with all of your time. So he got obsessed. After work, doing pottery all the time. Now today is a full-time potter, which is extremely rare. So it found him. He wasn't on the quest of understanding his purpose. It found him. So there are many different pathways to get there. And I really love to outline stories and examples that people could see, whether they're, famous people or just ordinary people, and how it happened, because I'm feeling like right now in this day and age, we're curious what does that actually look like? And throughout the book, I kept thinking, how can I communicate with myself at that moment of time that I was like, but I want to know exactly how it could happen. And I really kept going back to that step by step, while also upholding that like higher vision, spiritual wisdom that helps you also have that trust within yourself, because you also don't want to be stuck in a 12-step system of finding your Dharma and like holding on to that so tightly that it's not allowing you to be able to step into it for yourself too. So it's this beautiful mix of spiritual wisdom and this really grounded way that anyone can understand. So what I'd love to share for us today, since I know I know the community was interested more in creating a Dharma pod, for example. So in the book, I outlined that one of the best ways to help find your Dharma is to put together what would essentially be a mastermind group. So you would join forces with yourself and about 3 other people who are all on this quest of learning more about their Dharmas. Perhaps they've never thought about it, or perhaps they're fully in the action of it, but everyone who is at least dedicated and on this path of wanting to discover and embody their Dharmas. So you'll get together, a group of 4 of you, and set a time in your schedule every 2 weeks to do a 1-hour phone call. On this 1-hour phone call, you'll break it up into 4 15-minute spots. So each person will have 15 minutes. In that 15 minutes, I have exactly how you could set it up in the book, but there's a meditation that you can do to open up the space. And then each person has 15 minutes to share where they're at, what's showing up for them, what have they tried, and then also ask for feedback. Now, I have found that this is one of the best ways to help people find their Dharma, because most people don't have anyone that they could talk to about this stuff. Most people are asking their friends or family, and a lot of them are not giving them the best advice. A lot of them are acting out of their own fear, saying, oh my God, don't go risking all of that. You should not do that, because they've never seen someone doing it for themselves. So they're afraid of their friend becoming homeless, or, taking some sort of crazy risk. So most people don't have a safe space to be able to talk about it. And they also don't get to hear conversations of other people going through it. So just being in a container that's solely focused to your Dharma, not focused to, your kids and your family. Like, there's time and place for all of that too, but this is just about you and your purpose, and not feeling guilty about speaking about it. I think a lot of us feel very, very guilty about having a purpose. And this is one of the saddest things, because the one thing that we were born to do on this planet is to embody our purpose. And when we feel so guilty about it, it's like we're not doing the very thing that we were brought to this planet to do. And the world, the universe, it wants us to all live our purpose, because that's how the whole world can come into balance, when everyone is fully embodying what they really want to choose and want to do. So this Dharma Circle is your safe space to speak about that. You'll each have 15 minutes, share what's going on, ask for advice in a container space that people can offer their advice and feedback, and then also hear and be the advisee for other people. I have seen such tremendous shifts from people from doing that. I have been in one myself too, and it has been such a great place knowing that I could take whatever it is on my mind and not feel like I'm kind of like dumping it on a random friend, but doing it in this container. So that is one of the many practices that I share in the book. I also share a Dharma embodiment practice using your dance, your breath work to help you find your Dharma, many meditation practices, many journal, reflective questions that you can do, and so much more. So what I would love to do now is to guide us through a short meditation to help us ask, what could our Dharma be, and allow ourselves to answer the question. And then I'd love to open the floor for questions if there are any. So wherever you are now, I invite you to just close your eyes and take a deep breath in and exhale it out. Again, deep breath in and exhale out. Deepest breath in and exhale out. And now we're going to inhale, counting to 4, hold for 4, and exhale for 4. This is called 4x4 breathing. So we'll inhale, hold, and exhale. Inhale, hold, and exhale. Inhale, hold, and exhale. And continue breathing in this pattern or whatever pattern you choose. Just connecting deep, rooting into your body, rooting into the chair beneath you. Feeling yourself grounded and anchored into your seat. Continue to slow down your breathing. Your soul knows your Dharma. Your mind just may have forgotten. So in this meditation, we will speak directly to the part of you that knows. I invite you to call in now the part of me that remembers my Dharma. And I will say a series of sentences that I invite your soul to complete. I love to. I love to. I'm good at. I'm good at. People come to me for. People come to me for. I'm excited to. I'm excited to. I'm here to. I'm here to. I am. I am. My Dharma is my Dharma is I love myself because I love myself because and I invite you to just give yourself a big hug. Just feeding yourself all of the love, the nourishment. Thank you for asking yourself the big questions. And from this space, I invite you to wiggle your fingers and your toes, shake your shoulders, and come back into the space, opening your eyes. How was that for you? What showed up? I invite you to share any questions, any experiences you had. Valentina said, wonderful. Totally needed that. Thank you. Wonderful. Yeah, please share with me any breakthroughs that may have shown up. What I love about doing practices like that is it allows your own internal voice to answer. So Valentina shared, I felt like I could answer some, but would get stuck on others. So notice what comes super easily to you and where are the questions that you feel a little stuck. So I put in the one people come to me for. And I feel like that is a much easier one for our minds to grasp because we are so much more easily able to talk about others, to notice others, to look at the needs and concerns of others. So if people keep coming to you for something, you know, for example, if you look at your phone and your friend texted you, hey, I need your advice on something. What do you think they need your advice on? So people naturally can sense kind of where people's zones of geniuses are. So sometimes if we aren't sure about ourselves, we could look at what do people come to me for? If I got a text, I need your advice, what are these people probably asking me about? Is it business advice? Is it editing? Is it relationship help? Because that means that people are noticing me as a figure in their lives in that role. So this may be related to your Dharma. So some areas, questions might feel like a complete blank for you, like my Dharma is, oh no, I'm only 5 minutes into the meditation. How am I supposed to know? I haven't even read the book yet, you know? But you do know. You do know. And sometimes it's simple. It doesn't have to be this big lofty thing. You don't need like, you know, a branded mission statement with like a quote by Nelson Mandela for it to be your purpose. You know, we don't have to save humanity, FYI. Some of us are meant to like bring plants into it. Some of us were meant to raise the future generation. Some people are here to make us laugh, and that's all needed. So I think for questions like my Dharma is, we get stuck because the answer can feel so simple that we're like, that must not be important enough. You might say, my Dharma is to experience joy. My Dharma is to help people. My Dharma is to connect to my family. It could just be that. And when you go and you give yourself permission to even say the simple, then you see actually what's underneath that. My Dharma is to connect with my family. Well, what do you love about that? Well, maybe you love, you know, helping heal ancestral issues, and you love to help with connect with your parents because you're able to learn more about their ancestry and you're able to see what has been passed on through your lineage. So it could be this big thing that's underneath something so simple. So there's always that both. There's the duality. Yes, I'm here to bring joy, and then what's underneath that as well. So I recommend doing this meditation. I have these questions in Discover Your Dharma, and also with the pre-order, I have different pre-order bonuses, but even with one pre-order bonus, it includes my Discover Your Dharma meditation, which is every single time it's a little bit different according to how I energetically feel. So that one was catered to you guys. So it's going to have similar questions like that so you can tap into, but keep asking yourself these questions, especially when you are in a more open meditative state, because it's in there that the egoic mind is less chattery. That's why first we connect and we ground into our bodies. So then there's less chaos happening and we can finally listen. So again, it's not about learning something that's outside of you. It's remembering what is already in you. And that's really what this is all about. It's about you becoming your truest, most embodied, most authentic self, and letting that permeate and ooze through every decision, every interaction that you make. It's oozing your unique life force. And that is what living your Dharma is really all about. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed the meditation, and I'm excited to see how it unfolds. Each and every one of you, a major role in your Dharma is to bring books, bring ideas, bring philosophies, bring new ways of being, bring education and knowledge to the world, especially at this time where we are so quick to read headlines and not the full article or not the full book of why is that issue even showing up? What's the history of that issue? So it's a very important Dharma role that each of you are playing in your own way to help actually create this shift of consciousness through people dropping into a deeper state of knowledge. Because truthfully told, I would say the average person right now is just getting their information from social media. So right now, each and every one of you is activated to play this role, to bring people into storytelling and into depth and into truth. And by the way, all of our dharmas is the same. All of our dharmas is actually here to raise consciousness. In truth, we're all here to do the same thing, but we're all going to do it in different ways. And also, all of our dharmas is also to help other people understand their dharmas too. That's why it feels so good to help put people on the right track. And it feels so good when they come back and they say, because you told me something, or because you gave me this book, or because you sent me this podcast, or whatever it was, I was able to find my path and my truth and my purpose. So really, we are all here to guide each other back home, to guide each other back to truth and back to Dharma. So I just want to thank each and every one of you for playing the role, and for also, playing a role into bringing Discover Your Dharma into the world. It's, as I read it, I'm like, wow, somehow my soul knew about 2020, because this is the conversation that people are having right now with so many job losses and job transitions, et cetera. The conversation people are having right now is, how do I bring now my career and what I do every day into alignment with my truth? So thank you for playing a role in it. Thank you for being here. And thank you for saying yes to being on this planet in this time to help guide us forth so we can create a better paradigm than we've ever experienced before.